got the biggest slap in the face. That was the worst breakup, because I thought I know who I am and I still fucked up. How destructive and shameful. I mean, that is like beyond shame. Beyond.
I'm here with the queen. The one and only Pastor Sarah.
Throw some questions at me.
The big questions people wanted to ask is, when did you realize you were a narcissist? Is that the word you want to use? And how did you realize it?
Well, what's really funny, so like when you go get diagnosed, they're talking about all your childhood and everything like that. And I just thought, I mean, you know, Gen X, you raise yourself, right? And so I just thought it was normal, you know. I just thought everybody had the same type of, you know, childhood like me and everything like that. So I didn't, and, you know, my friends and I, you know, you basically raise each other, you give each other advice and blah, blah, whatever. So like when people are like, narcissists know who they are, it's like, no, I just have survival skills, right? However you survive with your parents, however you deal with any childhood trauma, you know, I just figured everybody's getting, you know, dismissed or verbally abused, or, you know, something wasn't right. So I'm going through life just thinking I'm just a regular human dealing with, you know, the world and everything. You know, I did a bunch of shady stuff, but I'm not thinking like, well, maybe this isn't out of the ordinary. Like, you know, you fight with your friends, you fight with your parents. You know, teenagers work at a job, they quit the job. You know, you I'm realizing that not everybody just gets a job and quits and gets a job and quits and, you know, all this stuff, that this is not normal. Stealing is not normal. You know, I got arrested twice when I was 14, stealing, and I was stealing a lot before that. I got away with all kinds of shit. It's not like I was, you know, stealing for the first time and then you got busted and stuff. It was like a job, you know. It's like, okay, I know how to steal. I know how to switch, you know, price tags and stuff. This is before scanners, you know. I got in trouble for drinking on the beach, arrested. Anyways, I did drugs. I had a very short-term marriage, you know, my first marriage, but I thought that was normal too. You know, it's like, I'm not going to spend my life with somebody who, he was a drug addict as well. And, you know, he was a criminal. And I met him during my drug addict criminal time. So it's like, you know, he was my equal, right? I didn't try to, you know, or think that I deserved, you know, better. I wasn't targeting, you know, something better, because I did not feel worthy of anything better than what, you know, I was with at the time. But when I realized that I don't want to be in this garbage situation anymore, that I wanted better for myself, you know, and better for my son. And I got pregnant after meeting him 3 months. I got pregnant on purpose. That was my choice to get pregnant, not to trap my person, because I said, you know, let's get pregnant, because I wanted to get off drugs. And I knew that if I had a kid, that I would put my kid above all others. And I did. He was my golden child. And so, you know, it's like, but I was in a 25-year relationship, you know. Usually they're like, you can't sustain a relationship.
So that was like your second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So, but back, Sarah, because what you were saying about narcissism being your survival strategy.
yes,
How does narcissism become a survival strategy?
when you're a kid and you learn how to. I had my parents divorced when I was 10, and then you get to manipulate the single parent. You know, at least I did. I'm not saying all kids do this, but sometimes they pin one parent against the other, being divorced and stuff like that.
All kids will do that if they have the chance.
Yeah,
Most kids will do that.
my mother had borderline flavor to her, and she probably has some narcissism in there too. And so I never knew what I was going to get with her. Her moods would change all the time. She really was, need a boyfriend, need a boyfriend. She would go out dancing. I raised myself basically. She took care of the bills and everything, food. We weren't, starving or anything like that. I had to raise my sister, not raise her, but watch her and make sure she just didn't unalive herself. But, and so I had to learn to cook when I was very small. I had to, get my shit together. My homework was all on me. And then we have an ADHD, which I didn't know until fucking a month ago. So I'm doing bad in school. I had to just scrape by, either, cheat my way through school, or run over to my grandma's house if I had a report or something so she could help guide me and stuff. I suck at math. I fucking would spin my numbers around, and dyslexic, and I'd read shit. I was such a shitty reader. And so here I feel like I'm this idiot as well, and then I don't have anybody helping me out. So that's a survival skill, trying to fucking pass a grade by yourself with ADHD, right? And dealing with a borderline parent who's not around, whose moods are swinging all over the place. Now, I was a very, I wasn't the best child. I was told since I was in diapers that I was bad. Okay, so I really think that I'm born with something. Okay, something genetic that made me more of an aggressive. I'm not listening to you. I want just give, or I'm gonna kick your ass or treat you like shit. Or like tormenting my mother because she pissed me off, so I'm going to treat her like shit, because I'm mad. You're not giving me attention. Negative attention is better than no attention at all. We know this, right? Children. So I'm going to make your life hell. And so that's not my mom's fault. I was very difficult. So I'm already a difficult child. And then with a borderline mother, right? And then I have more of a narcissistic antisocial father who's absent, that I barely see. So this is my combination. So this is where my survival skills have to kick in. How am I supposed to know right from wrong, when I'm just raising myself? It's like I do what I want, I'm going to take what I want. I'm going to steal what I want. I'm going to stay out late if I want. I'm going to, cheat in school. I'm just going to do whatever. And that's where my survivor shit comes in. So when I was going to, I decided while I was still married, I'm leaving this motherfucker and I have to find another man. I made that choice. And I was working with husband number 2. And I'm like, I want that. I want that. That's what I'm going to go after. I'm going to go after that guy. So
That was what?
I'm sorry.
What was that? You're like, oh, that.
I'm going off.
What
with
about
that.
him?
Yeah. So I know that we're going to talk about relationships and everything, and how, you know, we do fall in love with people, or we talk ourselves that we're in love with somebody, you know, like, because I saw he was very grandiose, just the biggest ego, military. He was an alcoholic. He funny as shit, and he'll beat up anybody. So he was feared but loved, you know, and that gave me like the daddy thing. Daddy, you know? So I had the criminal first boyfriend, husband, and then the larger than life, you know, he was the football star in school and all this shit, right? And I'm like, okay, I want that one because he's going to bring up my status from garbage living ghetto into royalty, right? And that's what I wanted. And I talked myself into, you know, everything. He'll be the better father. I look past all the alcoholism and shit. At least he's not doing drugs, you know, he's not, or anything. If I was normal, or even a codependent or something like that, there's no fucking way I would be able to, be with husband number 2. There's no way, because he was, a very angry man. And, I used to have to put him in his place sometimes. And then sometimes I would manipulate him with sweetness and kindness to get him to calm down. Everything's okay. And there's nothing inside of me to crumble. I've been abused to shit as a child. I am so calloused up that it's like, I'll leave you, motherfucker. You fucking treat me like that, I'm out of here. Fuck you, you know? And so it started to make him a little more anxious with me when he was like this big fucking whatever with everybody. And then with me, he's just like, you know. So anyway, after being married for a long time, to him, and I was a big into self-help. So, like, I don't know, I have a personality disorder, but I don't like feeling indifferent all the time, you know? When I would go to work, that fed my self-esteem, because I would always get like a supervisor position, you know? Because I was always a good delegator. I would always get shit done, you know? Everybody fucking liked me. I was funny, but feared as well, because I don't let you cross my boundaries. I don't let nothing. Don't fuck with me, and I will treat you well, you know, at work. So I wasn't like a piece of shit, you know, boss or anything like that. I was like, let's have fun, and don't piss me off, but let's have fun, you know, do your job, and everything will be fine, you know. And so I got, you know, a big boost of self-esteem with that. And then when I quit working, I had a job for 9 years. That's, you know, my biggest stability length of work. You know, all my other jobs are like less than 2 years and shit. But that, you know, a 9-year stint felt like fucking forever. Like, oh my God, I completed some huge thing. Being at home and not having, this was before social media was just coming out. No, so I had nobody. I went into this massive depression, having nobody give you self-esteem regulate, nobody, and just having kids, you know, these little people. What the fuck? I'm taking care of them, but how are they supposed to be, you know, I'm not getting enough, you know, from them. You know what I mean? And so when social media came out, holy shit, that just fed. I was like, oh, yes. Attention. Give me those likes. And they're all this fucking great. But one of my aunt's boyfriends, he said I never knew about personality disorders, nothing. He said, I think your mom might have borderline personality disorder. And I was like, what the fuck is that? You know? And I started to read up on these things. And I was like, holy shit. I almost thought that I had borderline flavor too, because, you know, the things cross over, right? And because that's the first thing that I was studying. I didn't know about all these other things, you know. I didn't know what narcissism was. Nothing. I mean, I knew what like psychopathy was because I was all into true crime and I love serial killer shit. Even when me writing the serial killer, because I felt that he is the only one that would know how I feel inside, but I still didn't label myself a psychopath. I was just like, I have these, you know, reading about you, I can relate with your childhood stuff. And so I was writing this. It's a total fucking disconnect, you know? It's a total mindfuck. It's like, I don't know who I am, but I see these traits in myself that are in you. But I didn't even think about labeling myself anything. So after reading about, you know, mom and like, I don't know if you've ever heard about the book, The Borderline Mother. You ever heard that book?
Mm-hmm.
I read that book. And how it says the 4 different types, you know? So, you know, it has all the different whatever. And so I saw myself as a parental figure kind of in like the more abrasive one, like towards my daughter, right? And, but I was still confused and stuff because I'm just like, more hyper-focused on my mom and trying to get my mom to see that she's a borderline. Just like how all the fucking victim channels are like, I want my narcissist to see they're narcissists. How do I show them? How do I show them? I'm even sitting in front of my mom reading pages out of a borderline book saying, does this resonate with you?
How did that go down?
If she wasn't mad or anything, she was just smiling. She was just smiling as I'm reading it. I'm like, you know, do you do this? Does this, you know? So do you do that? Do you and I'm looking at her and I'm smiling at her and she's just smiling at me. The next day, it's like I never read her shit. I never read her nothing. It's just erased from her memory that even went down. And I was just like, what the fuck? So until I started, I had an emotional affair with somebody with borderline flavor. And I always say borderline flavor, he had antisocial things. He had narcissistic things. He was a milkshake dude. So one time we joked, I think he had ADHD and autism. I'm just like, fuck are you? You know, he was his own milkshake. But he had the different mood, change, the crime, the anger, the fucking, that it was just so bizarre to me because I was such like a flat line, you know. I was just indifferent to whatever. I'm like, I'm going to do what I want. I do what I want. You know, I say what I want. I don't think about your feelings. When I say something or do something, and he was trying to control me. And I'm like, nah, that's not happening. And he started to point out things in me. Okay. So borderline flavor, he doesn't know that he's got anything. He might be projecting, you know. See, and he used to also, when he would pinpoint things at me, he would know why I do things because he does the exact same thing. So he's like, I know why you're doing that because blah, blah, blah. But I was just like living on autopilot. This is just what I do, you know. But he started pointing out specifics. And I was like, that's weird. And I wasn't getting depressed or anything. I was just smiling, like, you know, like somebody saying you're a vampire and you're like, ooh, okay. You know, it kind of just fluffed up my feathers as in, yeah, all right, I'm this dark fucking thing. Don't fuck with me then, bro, you know? But that relationship was so, turbulent and trauma bondy and reliving my childhood trauma because he was reminding me of my mother and my father. And I started to read more books, okay, on narcissism and like dark personalities. Okay. So I was getting it, I was doing the true crime thing. So I started buying books on dark personalities or, evil stuff. And, they have this section on fucking narcissism, right? And so I'm looking at all this stuff. And of course, I'm just seeing my boyfriend. Why am I calling him? Oh, well, he was my boyfriend for 6 months, but after I got a divorce. But anyways, during affair time, I'm making all these lists of all these dark traits about the dude and everything. And so just like I did with my mom, I'm compiling all of this research on him, Now he's seeing that I do these things and I'm like, okay, but I'm still not looking at myself. I'm always looking outward. You're the problem. I'm not the problem. I'm just me. And because I'm very selfish, I do what I want. Don't fuck with me. I told you earlier that when we got into a fight and I couldn't empathize with him, and that's the first time I was ghosted for 2 months. My only discard that brought me lots of pain. And he was punishing me for not empathizing. I still didn't understand about lack of empathy. I knew nothing, man. I knew nothing. I didn't know. I was like, I didn't mean to fucking do that. I don't know why you're so upset and blah, 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 and all this shit. And he's just so fucking mad that I cannot empathize and just be like, can't you just say that you hurt my feelings? Can't you just know? And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're a pussy, So that's why when people are like, narcissists are targeting you for pain and destruction, I didn't know shit. I did not know that I was doing this. All I knew is that I wanted him to know that it was not intentional. That's not what he wanted. He wanted me to empathize with him. But I just wanted him to know I didn't do it on purpose and just come back into my life, so I'm not, empty without my, little childhood trauma toy. What are you doing?
I think it's worth kind of like pointing out that lack of empathy and the entitlement are survival strategies, because you don't have time and inclination when you're 10 years old and you're having to be responsible for other children in the family, and no one's giving you the attention that you need, and no one's helping you with your schoolwork, and no one's even realizing you're struggling, and you have to basically survive. You survive by maybe being entitled, looking out for number one, and
Yes.
There's no space. There's just no, I think this is the thing about narcissism as well, like the kind of pathological narcissism. I think that lack of empathy is often stemming from emotional neglect, to the point where there just isn't the capacity to think about someone else's needs or even your own feelings.
Yes.
It's like, I don't have time for those feelings. I've got to survive. So I'm going to do what it takes to survive, as opposed to, what do I feel right now? No, like there's no. So really,
Yeah.
You think about people going through traumatic situations. Do you think they go through it by tuning into their feelings? No, they do it by soldiering on.
Yeah, or disassociating,
Or
right?
dissociating. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a shitty pseudo caregiver for my sister too, because I had no empathy for her either. I mean, I used to, I really fucked up her self-esteem as well. You know, I would call her names, just degrade the shit out of her all the time. But when I wanted somebody to play with, she was my favorite person to play with, you know? And then when I would get annoyed, and I would just push her away. So she was just something to be used for me, you know? I think, you know, if I grew up with everybody, you know, researching this shit, I probably would have been pinpointed into something, you know, back then. But no one knows nothing, you know. You had the big old encyclopedias, and that's all.
No, it wasn't. There wasn't YouTube narcissism channels then. But if you think like you're there, you're thinking about your then partner, you're reading up about narcissism and dark psychology, and you're like, ah, that's you, you just. How did you get from that to, oh, that's also me?
When I divorced my husband, and I started back up with the emotional affair guy, because I did leave him for 7 months. But then things got really bad with my husband and shit, and it made, you know, my crazy affair look better than my husband, you know. So after I divorced and then, you know, started going back to the crazy town, tried to make that work, but it was too chaotic. You know, I was hanging up on him all the time because he lived in Canada, okay? He was going to come in to America. Thank God for COVID, dude. No flights. So, it was just crazy. And so, after I broke up with him and I had to do this elaborate fucking reverse discard shit just to get away from him, because I kept going back to where he'd come back. He'd cry. And, you know, the borderline is crying, and it's like, they treat you like you're the best thing on the planet. I can't live without you. It's like, oh, fuck, you know, that's very hard to get away from. So I had to burn that fucking bridge just to get away from him, you know? And then that's when the lists, the journaling, you know, comes in. This is why I tell everybody, write down all feelings about the relationship and how you felt, you know, and their traits and what they did to you and how that made you feel, so you don't want to go back when you start ruminating, you know. So I'm making this list, okay, and on this whole fucking list that I'm writing of his really darker shit and everything, I'm just like, oh my God, I do that, you know? And I'm just like, oh, fuck, am I toxic as shit? You know? I mean, I already knew that I was, you know, had these feelings. I couldn't label them. Okay. I couldn't label them. I didn't understand the empathy thing. You know, I had a fight with my ex-husband once, and he's bitching about me about his feelings. And I said, I don't care. And he screamed at me, and he's like, why don't you care? You know, it's like these little things, but I'm not keeping them with me and being like, huh, why don't I care? There's no self-reflection going on. There's like, just get away from me, dude.
No, it's survival.
Yes. So as I'm going through all of these things, and I had been in a Cluster B chat group for a while, just because I liked reading about people who were diagnosed, you know, and I was resonating with a lot of the things that they were saying and stuff. I didn't understand about narcissistic injuries, collapses, vulnerable sides of stuff. You know, I was reading about people with antisocial behaviors, and I'm like, okay, I resonate with that too. I resonate with, you know, a bunch of shit. And I'm just like, well, I really don't know what the fuck. And so that's when I stopped focusing on other people. And I'm like, I need to be looking into my own shit. because now it's like a light bulb went off. Like, am I going to be fucking up my relationships my whole fucking life? You know, that last relationship really fucked me up. And I'm like, and I couldn't fix it, you know? I couldn't fix him. And I'm like, well, I can't fix somebody else. I can only fix myself. So if I fix myself, then I'll be able to attract other stuff, right? Now, remember, I still don't know the depth of narcissists. I do not understand all the, the red strings going and, oh, it's because and then you got the childhood thing and and this is why you do this and all this shit, right? And I'm just like, oh, fuck. So all I'm doing is deep diving into myself now. And now all this research, instead of, the victim channels about, your person, I'm watching everything thinking, me. I used to watch Sam Vaknin videos and I didn't resonate with shit. Nothing. It was everybody else. So I used to watch The Little Shaman about my people, not me, But after this huge, the veil fell, and I'm just like, oh God, I started watching everything all over again. I started bringing out all my narcissism books and personality disordered shit. And now I'm reading it, looking at myself now. Now I'm like, do I do that? Do I do that? How have I done that? And I really had to, give myself that space and time to do all that shit and to be like, because I used to read the narcissism DSM fucking traits and I saw nothing of me. And now that I understand the depth of, this personality disorder and what I've been living with and everything, it's like the floodgates opened up and I'm like, holy shit. Not only am I this stuff, and then I'm like, but, and then I started, seeing things on the vulnerable side. It wasn't just, the darkness and the meanness and the shit this and the shit, but I was watching things on why we do these things. And then that was connecting to my whole fucking life and everything. And all of these puzzle pieces coming together, stuff.
And then makes sense of why.
Why?
Yeah. So when you start to realize, okay, this is what underpins the entitlement or the lack of empathy or the antagonism or the inability to admit you're wrong.
Well, because, always being like I said, I was not the best child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being blamed for basically my mom being miserable. Or I'm being blamed for just living. Or I'm being blamed for, getting bad grades. I would ditch school and the teachers call, I really put a lot of bullshit on my mom, and then she would be upset that another parent is calling her because I ditched with her daughter. And then my mom's beating the shit out of me for basically embarrassing her, for these things. So all of these things but just having to I really learned about the envy thing. That was a real hard one to learn because I'm just like, do I envy people? And then when I started paying attention to myself now. Okay. So I was working at a grocery store after I divorced my husband. This was before I made my channel. I'm working at a grocery store and I'm paying attention to all of my traits now. Okay. And so when I'm interacting with people, I'm noticing how fake I'm being. Now, I know that I used to just, I had to fake all the time. I just thought, everybody masks in some way. I love working in retail. I love being a salesman. I love, manipulating people's feelings and stuff. But I mean, that was my job, you know?
In a way, narcissism can give you skills for that, because you can put on your happy face, you can give a little flattery, you can do a little love bombing. That's great for sales. Yeah, this is so beautiful in you. Your eyes are so, you know, if you're behind the makeup counter, your eyes are so beautiful, it's so special. That's going to get you a sale.
Yeah. Yes. And so I just love, I worked in a photo department for the 9 years, and, you know, and doing people's pictures and stuff. And I would teach people how to use their camera better or sell them a camera. And I would just be so excited when I'm talking to them and just making them feel so good. They would come in upset and leave with a smile. I mean, it was so fucking, and that feeds my self-esteem, right? I'm fucking a badass. I'm the best at what I do, right? So that's feeding, you know, my ego to everything. And when I'm working at the grocery store and everything, if I would see a pretty girl, and I would envy her beauty, I would find a chink in her armor. And I'd be like, I'm better than her because of this thing, you know? And I'm like, I don't think that's normal. I don't think people do that, you know? And I'm just like, huh. And then the whole, you know, perfect beauty, or, you know, and then the whole hair thing. And I have to be, you know, I have to be the best at everything I do. I need praise. I'm fucking mad if I'm criticized, you know, and all this shit. And I'm just like, holy shit. So basically, when I started to learn all this stuff, and I wasn't in a relationship anymore, and it's almost like going in a dictionary, and you're looking up the words and you're looking up the meaning, you know, and you're writing it down. So when I started making my videos, I'm making my videos basically just teaching you things. Okay, this is why I do this. This is why I do that. Blah, 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 blah. I have no connection to those feelings anymore of the past and my people. Okay, I'm totally disconnected. So when I got into a new relationship, you know, and I'm just like, I learned all this stuff about myself. I'm perfect in every way. There's no way I'm ever going to fuck up a relationship again, because I know everything about my brain, you know? Then I started to learn what the mental illness was really fucking like, and how it was doing things that I can't control, you know, the way that I mask up, the way that I was, you know, love bombing my whole relationship, not in a, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought that we were perfect, you know. This is my forever person. I've known him for 1 month. He is my perfect everything. Everything is great. He walks on water. I walk on water, you know?
Talk about that, because that's the love bombing stage, right?
Yeah. But I don't call it love bombing because it doesn't feel like the terminology that people are putting out there on the internet. I am totally disillusioned by this shit. And like I was telling you before, I know the difference between being in a real authentic feeling relationship to me, okay? Like me going with the flow and me feeling, you know, the power couple, and me feeling that, you know, this is my person and this is my future and this. And then the darker side of me, when I would target people for pain and doing the love bombing, where I'm just like, oh my God, you're so great. And that's the cool, dude, I did that. So the shit in the book is real for, I would say, antisocials, darker shit, like psychopaths, not fucking just run-of-the-mill narcissistic people, because the narcissistic part is perfection. Everything has to be perfect. I'm perfect. I'm going to put my best foot forward. Yes, I might inflate how fucking awesome I am, but that's who I see when I'm not in the vulnerable state, right? So
that's the fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the grandiose fantasy.
Yes, I have a fantasy about myself too.
Yeah, but in that, I think it's really helpful to think about it, because I think sometimes people are like, was I targeted? Was it this person who I thought loved me? Were they just like focusing in on me deliberately to manipulate me? And yes, some people do that. And I think you're right. It's the more antisocial end. And there's a whole spectrum of that. And sometimes it is really deliberate. It's someone who's actually a con person who is deliberately targeting you with another motivation, often money, right? And then you have
a place to live.
The place to, exactly. Well, it can be very extremes. It's like your entire life savings versus I'll live in your house, I'll eat your food, you can give me a life. Well, I am basically a parasite on you. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think with the kind of classical narcissism, the narcissistic person almost always is as caught up in their fantasy as the other person. And they're both, we are the power couple. We are the safe refugees from a difficult world who's all got it in for us. We're going to be together. And you're right. They walk on water. You walk on water. It's all going to be joy and power and perfection and specialness.
Yes.
Until it isn't.
Yes.
And then what happens?
And then the cycle. And that's what's crazy is we don't know consciously about the cycle.
Yeah.
We don't know consciously that I was making you into something that you're not. Okay. So just like when I was going after, and I will say targeting my second husband, it's like I was picking him out. That's what I want. Now I'm going to download the fantasy into this guy. Okay. So he's going to fucking make my life better, my son's life better. Okay. And he was working at, the drugstore with me too. So, but he was military, and he had so many fantasy dreams about himself too. Now I'm only 21. Okay. So I'm just like, yeah, he's going to fucking make my life great. This is going to be perfect, So, we had our fights, we had our breakups, and get back together moments and everything. And one thing that really helped me, change, some of my codependent behaviors, because narcissists can be codependent too. I read Codependency No More.
That's a good book.
One time I broke up with him, and I read Codependency No More, and I started learning about boundaries. So I started learning about boundaries for myself, and also boundaries for him. And I was just like, because he, like I said, he was very narcissistic. He wanted he didn't want to buy the cow and get the milk for free. He wanted the live-in wife, but he didn't want to give me the ring. He still wanted to go out and to bars and everything with his friends while I stayed at home. So when I moved, because he moved me in after knowing me for 3 months, of course, I moved out, and I read the book. And then I said, I called him up after, I don't know, it was less than a month. It was like a month or so or whenever we were broken up, and I read the book and everything. And I said, let's try our relationship again. And I said, but I'm not going to live with you ever again unless I'm married. And I said, I'll date you forever. And so instead of me and he agreed. So instead of me having him live with him, cook and clean and all that fucking bullshit, I was just the weekend girlfriend. That was it. And slowly over time, he wanted more time with me. He wanted to watch my son. He would, just over about a year, I didn't push nothing on him. I let him ask for more time. and everything. And because I wasn't having that anxious energy on him, you know, because remember, I wanted the perfect life, right? So I was more like, we have to get married. We have to get married, you know? And now that I detach from that, and I'm like, no, we don't have to ever get married. We're cool. I like spending time with you and everything, and we'll just fucking do that and whatever. And then he decided after a year that he wanted to get married. And I was like, okay, great, you know? So yeah, it was a lot of, you know, what broke us up. I mean, besides his, you know, shitty fucking, I get to do whatever I want shit. But I still was, you know, very anxiously controlling, you know, I want what I want. And if you don't give it to me, then fuck you forever. And I leave. And I would have never gone back to him if my mom said, read this book. Because my mom is the fix everybody else, but she doesn't fix herself. So she's the one that got me into self-help, which, you know, I'm grateful. So she was like, read this. So she saw that bullshit in me, and then I read it, and, you know, it was good. Now, I know how to cross people's boundaries. I know how to manipulate people and get what I want. I know all these things. So just because I read, you know, the book, it doesn't mean that I'm always going to, you know, be the perfect human now. You know, I still know how to get my needs met. I still know how to get what I want from other people, or, you know, even with my husband, you know, he was like, he's a gun collector, and he wanted to spend, you know, $1,000 on a gun. And I would be like, you're taking food out of our kids' mouths. You know, I'm still a dick, you know, I'm still a shit. And then, you know, of course, I'm like, do what you want. And you know what that means. You buy that gun, I'm going to make your life a living fucking hell. So, you know, I still, you know, manipulate in that way. I was never the type of person that, and I learned this, you know, from my mother. I'm not the type of person that would, I don't apologize. Never. I don't think I ever said I was sorry.
Because to say sorry would mean what?
I have nothing to apologize for. I have nothing to fucking apologize. It's fucking your fault. Don't do shit to make me mad or to make me reactively abuse you. Don't do that. You know, that's why when people put reactive abuse, like, shut the fuck up, because I can use that excuse too. You know, if you're not going to have a discussion with your partner and one person's being abusive and you're going to be abusive too, you're mutually being abusive. You know, it's like the person who is yelling back is saying, well, I'm justified at yelling back. Well, guess what? So am I, bitch. So you treat me bad, you start coming at me and criticizing and nitpicking, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to verbally fuck you up. And then you're going to play the victim. You're hurting my feelings. And you know how many narcissistic people do that? Fuck, man, I did that. I did that in my last relationship. My partner did that to me. I'm going to get mad at you for something. I'm upset, so I'm projecting something, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be you, but you might have triggered something, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to react to you. I'm going to get mad at you. You're going to get mad at me for getting mad at you, and then I'm the victim. I do that, dude, and I don't know that I'm doing that.
You can have two people. You can have two people in a relationship doing that.
Yes.
It's not always. I mean, and I know we'll be misquoted and be accused of victim blaming, but there are people who are in really awful relationships with people who have a lot of power and control over them, who are very abusive, and they're really not abusive in reaction. And it's those are difficult relationships sometimes to leave as well, because leaving is dangerous. But I also think there's a lot of relationships which are, as you describe it, you have two people who are both behaving in ways that are super high conflict. Neither's reflecting on themselves. Both are blaming the other person. There's a lot of passive aggression. There's a lot of resentment and anger and rage. And they're not good relationships to stay in, but I don't think it's a clear cut. There is a perpetrator, there is a victim, and it's black and white.
Yeah, and a lot of them aren't mentally ill. They just don't know.
No mental illness. Yeah.
No, I don't. But I mean, everybody thinks everybody's a narcissist. And it's like, well, hold on. When I talk to some people, you know, they'll read me email exchanges and stuff. They'll read me text messages and things, and I'll be like, well, you just dismissed your person right there. They were trying to tell you how they felt. You weren't listening. You were trying to tell them how you felt. That's not narcissism. You guys aren't communicating. That's all that is. You guys are dismissing each other, you know? But sometimes you have a partner that grew up in a household where they were never heard, right? Their feelings were never, you know, they're maybe and I'm not saying the parent didn't have empathy, but maybe they were busy, you know, a busy parent, maybe even a single parent, and they're just, well, they got their own shit. Totally understand that. And now you grow up and you're with a partner and you're like, I want to be heard now for once. I want to be, you know, will you care about me? You know, but the other person is doing the same fucking thing. I want you to listen to me. I'm tired of taking the blame all the time. If you were raised in a household with two good parents teaching, you know, how they both take care of each other, you don't know. Our skin might be melting as we age, but we're still little children inside if we don't have emotional intelligence, you know? Right?
How did you get to the point, Sarah, of realizing there is a certain stereotype? Narcissists never realize that they are a problem, and they certainly never seek help.
Right.
They certainly never seek assessment. And that's not true of you.
Not of me, because I was in that turbulent relationship. Like, if I was still married, I wouldn't give a fuck. Nobody ever fucking said, my sister yelled it to my husband after we divorced. And I'm just like, but she would never say that to me because she'd be afraid.
About you or about your husband?
Yeah, but my husband was playing the victim and everything, which I understand. Now, he doesn't self-reflect. So he can go out and cheat throughout the internet. That's okay. I do it, it's not okay. So it's a double standard thing, right? I mean, nobody should be cheating. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, my self-reflection came in, like, after I divorced, and I was fucking just fine being divorced because I was so tired of playing the part of, you know, the housewife and taking care of everybody's needs. I'm empty as shit, you know. I'm just drinking all the time. I feel like this almost, nobody knows the real me, or I can't talk about my real feelings. I'm just hiding all the time. And it sucks. I'm thinking that I'm never going to have a partner that sees me. It's very doom and gloomish, right? So I was very happy to get a divorce. I was just happy to be alone. I didn't even need to jump into, you know, I mean, I was already in a relationship, but after I got rid of emotional affair guy, I was fine being alone for once. I have always had a partner, and I was alone for once, not having to mask up for a partner, not having to give and not get shit back, you know? And I mean, the shit I did get back, it was money, place to live. You know, I got the fucking top shelf booze. I had my fucking vehicle. You know, I had all that. but there was no emotional connection. There's no intimacy. I could never be vulnerable, ever. So I'm just the tough, wife. I don't cry. I don't need anybody. I don't need nothing. And I take care of business. I'm right. You bring home the paycheck. I take care of the kids. I take care of the house. I write the fucking bills. I go to the grocery store. I cook every night. I take care of business. I'm taking care of my shit, and then the husband wants, time for us to sit and be together. And I'm hating it the whole fucking time. Not meaning that my ex-husband doesn't deserve somebody to dote on him. He deserves that. I just can't give it to him. I got nothing to give him anymore.
There's a performance there, though, isn't there? It's like, I'm going to perform in this relationship just like I performed when I was 10. I will take care of business. I will do it competently. I will do the shopping. I will cook. I will clean. And it's like, what? And now you want emotional support too?
I never wanted to connect with my ex-husband, ever. He wanted to go to marriage counseling, and I'm like, go fix yourself. Go fix yourself. Go fix yourself and be the guy who just goes to work and comes home and doesn't want nothing else from me. Because he wants to tap into some mushy center.
That's not being able to tolerate someone else having emotional needs. That's the idea that if you are okay as a person, and if I am okay as a person, we don't have no mushy emotional shit going on. We just hyper-autonomous, competent, capable people who perform.
Well, I think that he wanted, the mushy love stuff, or the idealization, maybe, right? And that's not happening. I'm sorry. We've been together for, half of my life. I don't re-idealize shit. Okay. I hear like Gordies do that, but I know the fuck way no. The fantasy's over, man. That's shattered a long time ago. Now it's a business, it wasn't chaos and cray, all the time, because we kind of ironed out those bugs in the beginning of the relationship. It's now we know how to deal with each other. And like I was saying before, and I probably got off track, I don't apologize, but if we get into a fight, an argument, one person's sarcastic or the other one, he's really good at cutting you down with sarcasm and or fucked up joke or something. And I would always laugh, because he was good. He was good talking shit. And I'm very hardcore, so I can take a lot. And I would laugh at it, and then the fight's over, or we're not going to talk about it. I'm going to be mad at you. You're mad at me. All right. Fuck you. Bye. All right. Whatever. And then we, take off and everything. It's like, all right, dinner's ready, and then everything goes back to normal. There's no there's no repair. We didn't need a repair. I'm not saying that we don't need a repair as in you do need a repair for a healthy relationship, but we weren't healthy.
In a healthy relationship.
It was just, so in my last relationship, I wanted to do the repair. I didn't want to do the dismiss. I wanted to really work on this relationship.
That's what I mean. Sometimes the willingness is there. The desire is there, but the implementation is more challenging.
And it's very difficult because I kind of take stuff the wrong way. Yeah. Like my perception of the world is very different, from everybody else.
Yeah.
And the way that, I'm already anxious in some things, I project and I don't know it on other things. And, you know, and I love my toxic flavored dudes. So he has his own shit too. And so it's two storms on the inside, you know. It's like we weren't turbulent and everything on the outside. Very, very small amount, you know, when it would just get too much, you know, and come out. But otherwise, you know, it's not that terrible. I'm pretty good to get along with, you know. It's just any criticisms or disrespect on shit that's very important to me, you know. Like my sister would, whenever she would bring up something to me, she knew she had to bring it up in a gentle way because she knows I'm going to attack her, you know. But I didn't know that, you know, back then that I had an issue with being criticized, but she knew me. You know, she grew up with me.
She's learned to adapt to you.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's it been like for you, Sarah? Because you've gone on a bit of a journey, haven't you? You kind of gone from, I don't really care, to, okay, I've got my toxic stuff, but I do want to connect with you, so I'm going to try. But actually, it's not very easy to do at all. It's really tough.
It's very, I saw a meme today, and it was me in a nutshell. It said, you know, I'm lonely and want a companion, but having a companion is too much work. When I think about having a partner, and then I'm just like, oh, it would be so nice to have a companion, you know, to hang out with. And then I'm like,
no, those things come with needs and emotions.
Oh, and it's a human mirror that's coming into my life, and then all of my shit is going to be mirrored back to me. And then, you know, I hate that when it's almost like I become a different person when I'm triggered by anything. I'm telling you, it's like I turn into the Incredible Hulk. Now, if you know the story of the Incredible Hulk, when he turns into the fucking green monster, Bruce Banner doesn't remember who the fuck, what he was doing when he was the Hulk. So he's angry as shit, right? He's just destruction and everything, you know. He says fucked up shit. He doesn't care. That's the thing, is when I'm in angry mode, the gray area, I know I still love you, but you made a mistake and let's talk. No, you're shit. You are now shit. I remember nothing
Black and white thinking.
I remember nothing good about you. I mean, it just erases, you know, it's gone. And now you're just the threat that I have to neutralize. I have to destroy the threat. And because of all this going on, what the fuck do I have to take responsibility for? You triggered me. You're the piece of shit. Why do I have to apologize for getting mad at you when you did this shit to me? Now, I can totally understand if you're around somebody who, you know, like a borderline flavor person who's splitting often, you know, something, who's very, or just a mood disorder, right? Just something. Because usually I'm just completely fine. I'm indifferent. Everything's fine. Don't fuck with me. Let's just get along. I think that's where the controlling part comes in too, because I'm like, do what I say and nobody gets hurt. Just do what, you know?
Then I have also, it's like the narcissistic coping, right? To feel safe, to feel secure. I want predictability and control over my environment. So you do what I want, so I feel like I don't have to feel the chaos of what it really feels like to be me. And if I trust that, then I'm going to become so angry, and there's no shades of grey. You are in the sin bin. You've done everything wrong and you have to be to blame, because if you're not to blame, I'm partly to blame. And then I have to take some responsibility and I have to look at myself, and then I'm flawed. And if I'm flawed, then everything everyone's ever said about me is absolutely true. And I'm the worst possible human being in the entire world. And that's narcissism.
Shame bell. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I have to protect myself from feeling any amount of shame whatsoever. But
yeah,
I did not learn what shame was until I started my channel, because I was doing all that inner deep diving stuff.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know where I was watching Tim Fletcher online. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he does childhood trauma stuff and everything. And he was talking about, where our shame comes from. And I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, I have never cried so much in my life, Dr. Ruth. I used to never cry ever about nothing unless like my grandma died or my father died, something like a huge abandonment. Death is a huge abandonment. Narcissists don't cry when somebody dies. Yes. I cried when my dad died. Okay. But just learning these things. I mean, I cried when I found out I had ADHD, because I'm like, I'm the fucking stupid, that there is something going on with me, and now I know. It was just like, yes, another piece of the puzzle of my life is, coming in the thing. And I felt it just opened up this, rainbows started coming out. I mean, I'm joyful that I felt it was like a double-edged sword. It's like, oh God, I have another thing wrong with me. You know what I mean? But
it makes sense, doesn't it? Because it gives you that experience of what it really meant in childhood when you were struggling. It was ADHD. It wasn't that you were just a lazy shit.
Yes, damn it. And people need to understand that if the narcissistic person does not have some sort of, I don't know if you believe this or not, but like huge, like injury or something. Mm-hmm. Like they lose something massive, like say, I think Wendy said something like that. Like, like narcissistic people, they won't go into therapy. They think that it's depression, right? It's like a huge, like some big blow. And that was me losing that one relationship that really was like, I don't want to ever feel like this again.
That's the catalyst that got you into therapy.
Well, the very last relationship is when I was like, I was already, like, fuck, I got to grieve this relationship. I'm not jumping into a new relationship. My channel really holds me accountable too. It's like, I can't go backwards now. I can't go back into my old shit coping mechanisms, right? Because then, I'll have people going, you lied. You don't want to get better. It's like, yes, I fucking do. It's just so hard,
Yeah. How has that been for you? Because let's talk about your channel, which is really good. So if you haven't seen it, you should watch. But talk about your channel. What made you start?
I started my channel for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was going to be an FU to my ex-boyfriend as a because he wanted to be famous. He was a comic book maker and shit. He could not get the fame going. And I'm like, I'm gonna be famous. So number one, I was gonna play the long game. Mm-hmm. Even if it took me years, I was gonna throw my channel in his face. Now I don't care about him because I'm working on myself, so I don't need to do that anymore, okay? But that was one reason. Mm-hmm. Number two was an FU to the victim channels. Fuck you. You don't know what I go You don't know how painful this is. You don't know what it's like to live with this shit. You need to, so it was anger. Okay. Anger, twice of those. The third reason was I didn't see a female narcissist online yet. Mika Batra, who was doing her sociopath channel, that was it, but there was no narcissist chicks. And I'm just like, I got to get in here now so I can, you know, get my fucking, the fame. That's a trait.
Be the first.
Fame. Yeah. So that was,
I saw that throne for the queen.
yes. And I'm going to get it first. I'm getting it first. And then I was tired of, like, Lee from Mental Illness and I are in the same chat group. And I was tired of him doing the skits or just talking shit about the disorder and not saying why these things are happening to us. You know, why are we like this, Lee? And so I made a post and I was covertly shaming him. And I was hoping that he would see it. I didn't tag him in it, but I was hoping that he was going to see it. And then at the bottom, I said, I should make my own channel at the bottom. And he saw it and he commented and he's like, make your own channel. I'll support you. And I was like, shit. Because, you know, I'm impulsive, right? So my impulsivity is make this, you know, he could have told me to fuck off. He could have smeared me all over the place. And he's like, make it. I'll support you. You go make it. He was like, you know, I'm throwing down this bet. And he's like, bet. I'll, you know, do it then. Make the fucking videos. And I'm like, oh shit. Now I have to do it, you know? So I just put up my fucking phone and started making my shit. And I made 4 of them. I posted one to the chat group. Lee fucking posted it on his shit. And I got 300.
Well, he was true to his word.
He was, yes. Well, the thing is that if he helps me out and I get big someday, he gets to take credit because he helped me. You know, this is the narcissistic way. Lucky that Lee did that for me. That's why I was helping promoting Jacob when Jacob was trying to weasel his way into my channel and shit. And he's all fucking typing his shit. And I'm like, I know what the fuck you're doing. You want me to fucking promote you. And I'm just like, okay, I will. And I promote him. And now he's got twice as many motherfuckers as me. It's like, you're welcome, Jacob. You're fucking welcome.
But Jacob, you are friends with these people, right?
Huh?
You're friends with these people.
Yes, Jacob's awesome. Jacob is awesome. He articulates things so well. He's so great. And he's trying to get out, you know, what's really going on underneath the bullshit, you know? And what's also great is that, we all present differently, you know?
Yeah, you do.
You know? You know, I mean, I'm extremely abrasive. You know, I cuss. I don't care. I will attack commenters who attack me, you know, and Jacob will be a little bit more, you know, humble, nice, and joke around and be like, oh, well, you know, that's what, and everything, and to make sure that his followers don't get upset. And I'm just like, fuck you. Sometimes if I'm in a better mood, you know, I'll try to explain and stuff, but disrespect is a huge part of, you know, my way of thinking. Don't disrespect me. And you know, people come to the channel and they're transferring their anger and upset from the person in their life. They're angry. They're mad at, you know, the relationship. They're not here to learn. They're here to attack, because they can't attack, you know, the person anymore. or get back at them or whatever. So they come to me, you know. And so it really depends on my mood, you know. I'll either try to explain, but if I'm in a bad mood, I'm gonna troll the shit out of you. I'm gonna fuck you up. So it really depends, you know, how I'm feeling. So when I tell, you know, you guys, like when your person fakes out in the world, you know, they have to put on their mask, their fucking human suit, go out and do whatever. Nobody knows who we are. It's very superficial and everything, but we do whatever. We come home, we take off our shit, and we can just fucking relax and whatever. Now, anything that upset us throughout the day, or anything that's been upsetting us throughout the week, or anything, or if we drink and we're triggered from our alcohol, or just anything, and then we're gonna, you know, come out and project on our partner. Going to treat our partner like shit, or be snarky, or not want to talk at all. Then you think we're mad at you because we don't want to talk, or whatever, you know. And then we're going to attack you. It's like, no, I'm not mad at you. Will you just leave me the fuck alone? And then you're upset that we cussed at you, whatever. So I take that anger to the internet. I've already had like longtime commenters come to me saying how they want to rape me. And I'm
no.
Yeah. So there's these because they're behind a screen and everything. I mean, I troll, so I get it. But they're like harsh. When I first came out, I had a man threaten to beat me up, punch me in the mouth. Another one threatened to unalive me. And then I get rape threats. So it's just, I mean, they're transferring their anger. They're so angry at their exes. And I don't, now it's disrespectful, so I'm pissed off about that, but I'm not afraid.
It's also really dehumanizing to say, well,
people call us narcs. That's
yeah, which I don't like either. I don't like it. Yeah, but it's also like, okay, you may have had a narcissistic ex-partner, but that doesn't mean that everybody who is a narcissist is abusive to their partners. They haven't been abusive to you. You're not the same in every relationship. I think that's another thing people sometimes struggle to get their heads around, that you can have narcissistic personality disorder and despite it also have a reasonable relationship.
Yes. And
it takes effort. It's not, you know, it's not a given, but
well, I was different in all of my relationships because my partners were different, you know? So like my first boy, now I like going towards the bad guys, right? Because I need somebody to match my energy. This isn't just fucking daddy issue shit, because I am my father. So I need somebody to match my abrasive energy. So I go towards the darker dudes, okay? And my first boyfriend, he was heavy metal and everything like that, but he ended up being very sweet. He did have some grandiosity sprinkles to him, okay? But he was so funny and sweet and everything. And we, after being together for 3 months, I moved away for 3 months. And then, 5 months. So, you know, long distance with a narcissistic person, it's lovers being flipped apart, you know, and because you're not in each other's faces all the time. So you get to keep that fantasy going so much longer.
Yeah.
You know, all of my relationships only last 2 years, you know, tops. Even with my 25-year relationship, we broke up before the 2-year mark, you know, and then my mom brought that to my attention too when she gave me the book. She's like, you always break up 2 years in. And I was like, huh, you know, but it wasn't like, it's like, oh, well, the fantasy's over. The cycle. I didn't know shit, man. I didn't know, it was just like, well, I'm fucking done with them, after that long. Or they're not doing what I want, or I lose interest, or the fantasy's over, or my partner is now becoming more controlling, or they're upset all the time with, me. And of course, I'm perfect in every way. So why are you fucking pissed off at me all the time? Yeah. But anyway, so I got, he wanted to marry me. I was 16 and I'm like, no. So I wanted to go out and have fun and everything. And that's why I broke up with him. He was so very sweet, wonderful. My first husband, the criminal, and he's so self-focused and trying to get his needs met all the time. And he's stealing money from me and doing drugs behind my back and all this stuff. So I was and you know what I said about disrespect? So I'm very angry in that relationship. Because you can't, tell me if this is true or not, with more antisocial traits, because you can't punish me. I'll either just do it harder, if you try to control me in any way, I'll just punish you back, or just do it even more what you tell me not to do. So I don't know if that's more antisocial like. So you couldn't punish my ex. I mean, he's been in prison several times since the divorce, but so I couldn't control him, but that was part of his own mental disorder, he can't
chemistry here, right? His chemistry between,
well, remember, it was
stuff
both drug addicts.
Yeah,
young. He was even younger than me. He was 19. How can a 19-year-old who never had a father, who had a disordered mother, alcoholic too, and then I wanted him to be the perfect parent for our child. I really fucking abused verbally the shit out of him for not being the perfect parent. So, husband,
that's also coming, but I think that's also coming from your own deep anxiety about being a good enough parent, and the need to not, that's, I want to be perfect. I don't want to mess my kid up. And then the absolute overreaction and fury at the other parent if you perceive them not to be adding up, and the willingness to blame them if there's an issue with the child, because it can't be your fault and it can't be the child having an issue,
right?
Because they're a kid, and because this is what kids do, right? There is the inability to take some responsibility as a parent, and the inability to tolerate a child having challenges, or a child being a kid and having a tantrum, or struggling at school.
Well, and if we both have arrested development,
Absolutely.
Yes, I was very mean to him.
Yeah.
But my second husband, because he was very combative too, so I had to kind of tame down a little bit with him, because you can't have two angry people in a relationship. Somebody has to be the more nurturing one, and it had to be me. So I had to calm down a little bit so we could get along better, So that's how, I changed with that, and then I'm different with my sister than I am with my mother, or with my cousin, or with my friends, and then I'm different with the fucking affair dude than I am with, my recent ex, that I was trying to be this perfect, person who became more anxious, because I do want to be perfect for us, where it was all about just me. I mean, I was still fucking selfish in so many ways. This was a revelation too, because I did think that I was so perfect, that I didn't see me doing anything wrong at all. It was like a new type of perfect now. I'm self-aware, Dr. Ruth.
I'm going to be the most perfect narcissist.
I'm
That's what you think. The most healed, the most recovered.
Yes. Dude.
The best at therapy.
I got the biggest wake-up call. Fuck. I got the biggest slap in the face. That was, I think, the biggest, the worst breakup, because I thought, I know who I am, and I still fucked up. That how destructive, and shameful is. I mean, that is like beyond shame, beyond. Just to be like, well, now you know that you're a narcissist. Now you know the toxic shit that you do. So why aren't you fucking fixing it? And then it's like, but there was still shit I was doing that I didn't know that I was doing. Still, there was, you know, the dismissing things, not listening. He would even tell me, you know, things that was upsetting him, and I would blow it off. I wouldn't fucking, you know, the lack of empathy shit was kicking in. And I'm just like, fuck. And I didn't realize it in real time. This is why I'm like, my whole life needs to be a reality show, dude. I have to have cameras and mics all over the fucking house and a GoPro on my fucking head, so I can rewatch this shit every night to see where I'm fucking up, you know, and to see what I'm doing, because I still don't know, you know, you know.
But I think also, Sarah, there's a somewhere you get to where actually, I think there's still the narcissism that's like, I still want to have the perfect relationship, the most self-aware relationship, when actually there is a need in any relationship. We all come with our own stuff. Doesn't matter who you are, you come with your own stuff. The other person's going to come with theirs. You're going to bring yours, and actually you just accept each other as you are. That you have good qualities, you have bad qualities, and in some days we're all a little bit toxic.
Yeah, well, a little bit toxic. Yeah, we used,
and you don't have to ring the shame bell every time. Like, you get more. It's the more you accept it as it is, the more it's free to change.
Ugh, I know.
You like that? Don't like it.
No, it's so difficult. And you want to hear something funny too? Is that after I broke up, I was all fucking self-righteous and shit too, and I was just like, still, you know, like, yeah. I didn't do it. I'm perfect.
Well, it's the protection from shame.
Well, this is where people get the smear campaigns wrong.
Yeah.
When I am so angry and I feel betrayed, and I'm telling anybody who will listen about my grievance over something happened, that's my truth. And I don't care how toxic I sound. I don't care if it's real or imagined, or if I'm making up shit in my own head, because this is how I feel. I'm not saying that you're purple when you weren't. I'm not making up shit. This is how I feel. I feel that you fucked it up.
But it's what you believe, right? It's the defense against me. I've done something wrong. No, I've got to pin it all on the other person, because otherwise I'm the worst person in the world. So I can't be that. So you have to be. So I'm going to say all kinds of terrible things about you.
But I don't see that I did anything wrong. No, it's not even there. It's not even on the radar, nothing. It's always you. It's always you.
It's not conscious. It's not an intentional, conscious process. And I think, yeah. And it's not designed to, it's sometimes not so much designed to smear the other person as it is to protect yourself. Like they're irrelevant. The goal is to protect yourself from feeling shame.
Yes. Yes. You betrayed me. I'm the victim. So you hurt me on purpose. And this is where people also get confused too, because even if I left you for a reason. So me being angry, even if I left you, you don't have to break up with me. I can break up with you. This doesn't happen with every relationship. I can just break up with you and move on, like nothing, right? But if I'm angry about the breakup at the end, even if I break up with you, it's because you did something wrong. You weren't perfect. You didn't listen. You were too critical. I got a grievance list fucking a mile long. You're the fucked up one, And sometimes it's like, well, you didn't tell me that I did, you kept all of this shit to yourself about me.
Mm.
And then I learned later that it's not because they didn't try. They tried multiple times and I would not listen to it. That's another thing. When anybody ever sent me an email or a letter or even on the phone, you criticize, you start tearing me down for something, you tell me I did something wrong, I'm hanging up on you. I'm not reading the email. I'm not reading it. If you criticize me in the first line, I'm not reading it. When people comment on my channel and they criticize me, sometimes they'll be passive aggressive and they'll say, "Oh, I really love your content," but bleh. And then they start talking shit. After that first criticism and you left me a fucking essay, I ain't reading it. And I'm just going to attack you on the first thing that you fucking said. So don't be disillusioned that I'm some fucking miraculously healed person that you can give constructive criticism to. I have to respect you. Dr. Ruth gets to criticize me. Dr. Mark gets to criticize me. I respect these people. And as you know, and I've read this before, narcissistic people, they put these people on a pedestal so they get to do that. They have the golden fucking...
Yeah, but you guys get knocked off that pedestal pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty, I don't do that. I mean, not to you guys, I can have like little, like Mark would show up, Dr. Mark would show up like, a couple minutes late. And I'm like, it's $4 a minute, that I'm paying him, and he's showing up 4 minutes. And I'm just like, I'm not saying shit, but I'm just like, motherfuck, but I'm just like, calm down. It doesn't mean that he's not going to let me go over a couple minutes, and I start rationalizing, right? I don't think it's because of me. I'm the one, I feel like he's being disrespectful. But, I'm just like, but I'm telling you that this is an automatic feeling that comes up, right?
Yeah.
You said you were going to be here. You're not here. That means that's when the devalue starts to come in. But then, now that I'm just like, okay, well, let's think about this for a minute. So I don't, yeah. So
that's where a little CBT can be very helpful.
Yes. So I'm getting good, with that stuff,
Yeah. I'm curious there, and I think Invisible Borderline asked this, because you've said you don't want to be with a normie.
Right. Why?
Yeah. Why? You still don't want a normie.
Well, because, okay, like I said, that my very first boyfriend was very sweet. I was too abrasive for him. So his feelings would get hurt a lot, you know? So he's not calloused up enough, to take it or to let things go. I don't want to be around somebody who's going to fucking, you're so mean, I mean, all of my people have said I'm mean, but they're shits too. But,
I can't imagine someone who is like normie. I don't really like the word, but normie. You can't imagine them being able to cope with you.
I think that if somebody was able to, like this happened, I think this was the extra masking of, my ex-boyfriend too. Because in the beginning of the relationship, you're not getting triggered, that much. You're not that close yet. You're still in fantasy land. So if ever I said anything abrasive to him, he would want to discuss it and talk to me about it, And I thought, oh my God, this is so wonderful. But he didn't crumble into toilet tissue paper. He didn't just, turn into a bubble and fall away, burst and freak out. And he did that later. But in the beginning of the relationship, so I need somebody who wouldn't take things so personally. Like if they had a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, their own, to where if I would project something that he would be like, well, that's not mine. Let's discuss why you're upset, And then I'm okay with somebody saying this wasn't my intent. I don't need empathy. I don't need let me put you shoot. Yeah, I don't need that fucking shit. But if you say I did not mean to say it in this way to where you would react like that. I am not trying to gaslight you. I'm not trying to change your reality. Your feelings are your feelings and how you feel about whatever. And when I said this, it was not intended to make you react. Like if somebody was able to talk to me, I will listen to them, because I'm in a place to where I can feel a split coming. I can feel it boiling up. And like in the beginning of my relationship, I was able to take space. I needed to take space. And I would come back in a half an hour or whatever, and I would cycle through because I would split in my head. So I'd let myself split, and at least I was aware enough to get away from my partner so I wouldn't hurt him and attack him. And then I would just cycle through my crazy, and it feels real to me. But I was aware enough to be like, well, let's go sit in the shower and just cycle through all this crazy shit and then wait a minute and see if I can, understand why I'm thinking like this. And is this something that he owns or is this mine? And that started to get less and less when he started to, his own childhood trauma started to come in the mix,
Yeah.
So I guess as long as somebody wasn't going to fucking jump right into victim mode, but I mean, goddamn, do you see all this relationship garbage stuff on like TikTok and everything? And it's men against women. They're not a team. They're not thinking of, I want to find my teammate. It's your team, and we're just going to play this fucking game until somebody wins. And then
I think that also, like, even in the way you put it, there's a bit of black and white thinking in that, is it my stuff or your stuff? As opposed to, maybe there's stuff going on between us. And maybe we both have some responsibility to look after each other's stuff. I didn't think about it like that.
It's very difficult. It's like when I do something and I hurt my person, or I know that, you know, this is not the reaction that I wanted from my person. Let's just say that, because it's not like, oh, I feel your feelings. It's like, okay, I'm not getting the reaction I want. He's not giving me a good reflection right now. So I know that I did something that I shouldn't have done or said. And I want, even though that I can be aware enough to be like, I don't want to hurt you anymore like that. I can't promise that it's never going to happen again. I'm that aware. Okay. And this isn't like cheating and shit, just being verbally abrasive or snapping at you when I shouldn't.
None of us are ever going to be saints.
Well, fucking that's what people want. That's what they
That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Well, that's
no
what
one's a saint.
They want the narcissistic person how they first met them. The person that was perfect in every
Yeah,
way. And
that doesn't exist either. That's a fantasy, right? So anyone watching your channel, Sarah, they're seeing you on this journey from where you were, where you are now. I don't think they're the same. I think you've grown. I don't think you're the final destination till you're in your grave.
Right.
So it's just going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
And I think as well, you think about, I think we're so categorical. It's like healthy, toxic. And I'm like, there's probably some gradations, like everyone behaves in a toxic way, at least on occasion. Everyone, even, I mean, I don't know, maybe there are some people who are purely toxic. I also think people who are highly narcissistic can have some relationships that are really special to them and where they probably on balance do the right thing a bit more often.
Yes.
Are they perfect? No.
Right.
But is there enough? Yes. I kind of see it more as a continuum.
Yes.
Like, can you become more healthy?
Yes. I just think that
as opposed to being a black and white.
Yeah. And even you know, the more self-aware you are of just your behaviors. I mean, there's, you know, the self-help community, big time. So many books out there just to help you, you know, self-reflect and to see somebody else's perspective would do wonders for any relationship, you know. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You're a narcissist, you're mentally ill, go to therapy and fix your mental illness or you're fucking outie. And then he goes to the fucking therapist and the therapist is like, you're not a narcissist, but you do have things that we need to work on. He comes home to a woman and says, my therapist said I'm not a narcissist. And then she's like, well, you just manipulated the therapist. It's a no-win situation with relationships.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shit.
And I think as well, like, and I say this if I work with couples, or I say this to people who are coming for help with relationship difficulties, a diagnosis isn't going to be the thing that really helps you.
It's gonna justify the partner. That is what it's
sometimes, exactly. And I'm like, sometimes it's helpful. I think some people it is helpful. It validates this as the pattern. We recognize it. We know what it is. But ultimately, the thing that will help you is understanding your behavior, understanding your partner, and building a bit more concern for yourself, building new patterns in your relationship if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and don't forget,
validating the things that aren't
when you get diagnosed. Now my partner is going to say, you're doing narcissistic shit. You're a narcissist. I don't believe you. You're lying. You're gaslighting me right now. You know what I mean? It's a no fucking win situation. It's a no win situation. And I think me coming out here and exposing myself, and any partner that comes into my life has to be so fucking mentally strong enough to deal with me, because I'm not going to take that shit. You know, it's like, I want a partner. You have to be power couple. You have to be a bad fucking ass to be with me. You know what I mean? So I think anybody who I choose is special. Power couple, perfect relationship.
Ask you fuck. That is what I think. So I never think, oh, well, somebody want me. It's like, do I want you, fucker? Do I want you? Because you are I'm gonna treat you so good.
There's the fantasy of ideal lover right there.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So, and I will try very hard, man. I'll give it my all. Yeah. And, you know, I'm trying to take responsibility for my shit. And when you see all these people out here in relationships, they're always throwing away the good girls and the good guys. They want fucking toxic. Well, here you go, motherfucker. I have a bow on. I'm toxic, working on myself. I'm the best of both fucking worlds. I can't believe that my ex didn't want this. I can't believe it.
I know.
On that happy
My
note,
delusion shit is coming in. I fucking know, but goddamn. Goddamn. It makes me feel better.
yeah, but you know what? You know it. You know it's the delusion coming out, and you're more aware of it, and you have a sense of humor about it.
Okay.
So black and white.
Okay, are we good?
It's a
Before my...
We are good. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Sarah. And if you're watching, check out her channel.